السلام عليكم. Can you hear me properly? سمعوني زين؟ Hello. Okay. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Um, Today we are going to start um, the specialization part, where we are going to talk about the, the different topics. You have finished the first 3 weeks, which are related to general business, IT, health and safety, and then the remaining 5 weeks will be related to your specialization. Um, Whatever we are going to tackle is going to be explained in the introduction of the day. Uh, okay, everyone can hear me properly. كل حد يسمعني. Okay, so soon you will be employees, inshallah. Certain things that you need to tackle. Um, these are going to be covered in 5 things. Okay. Um, we are going to have the first week, which is the fourth week for you, which is related to construction in Oman, general things about construction in Oman, structural analysis and design, which is going to be the second week, which is the fifth week in your whole 8 weeks OGT, and then advanced design and structures, highway design, concrete and construction sites, and then finally project management. Um, starting by welcoming you. So welcome to the team of civil engineers in Oman. The first thing that you need to understand, and one of the major questions that is normally asked by most of the interviewees to the candidates, is what's the difference between civil engineering and architectural engineering. Okay. And these two pictures are representing the main difference between the two, where architectural engineering is more to deal with the outside portion of the structure or the body, and then civil engineering is more related to the inner part of the structure or the body itself. Okay. So whatever we are going to tackle at the beginning, one of the first thing that you need to know is average salary that you are going to have. Normally it starts from 790 and it goes up to 2390 riyals. That varies. This is according to the latest statistics in 2019. So the first thing that we are going to tackle, or you need to know, is the areas of civil engineering that you might deal with in your careers later on. We have five major areas: structural engineering, where you can work in consultancies, and then we have soil mechanics, where you can work in soil investigation company, um, and then environmental and water resources like dams, water tanks, companies design, transportation, public authority for transportation as well, Ministry of Transport, and then finally construction management. So whatever you are going to work later on, it's going to be either of these five areas. So whatever we try to focus in our training plan, we try to focus on these five. Unfortunately, we couldn't manage to have somebody to explain environmental and water resources for you. So mainly whatever we are going to concentrate at is structural engineering, soil mechanics, transportation engineering, and then construction management. Going in details for the training plan, um, it's 5 weeks for the specialization. Today's plan is going to be starting with Oman standards, documents, regulation, and then construction. It's not construction stages. It's going to be construction drawings. And then second day is going to be about construction drawings and layouts, how to read the drawings, how to read the cookie as well, how to understand the reinforcement schedules. Third day of the week is going to be about estimation. So after you learn about the different types of drawings and read the drawings, you should know how to do the basic estimation for the different elements. So you will learn how to do the basic estimation. You will learn how to do or how to read the basic detailing of the elements. Fourth week is going to be a quiz. Quiz most probably is going to be in e-learning. You will be added to a course in e-learning which is related to your OGT. It's not yet done. Others are going to be doing that thing. So you are going to have multiple choice quiz questions which are related to whatever you have studied in that particular week. The fifth day is going to be an off day. So in this particular week, we are going to have only 3 lectures. And then for the second week, we are going to go for the analysis and design part. First day is going to be analysis using different software. We are going to tackle SkyCIV, robot structural analysis, SAP 2000, maybe we'll go for ETABS, different types of elements. We are going to try frames, beams, trusses as well. Second day is going to be related to design of structural elements. So it's going to be by Excel sheets or some minor software like Procon or TEDS. And then we are going to go for the design of a two-story house that is going to be done in Revit structure, and then robot structural analysis, and a software called Tekla Structural Designer. So that's going to be the third day. The fourth day is going to be related to designing of a four-story building for both gravity and lateral load, including wind and seismic loading. Just an illustration to teach you how to take these into account. So that's the second week. Third week is going to be about the basics of the concrete, advanced concrete and design. The first day I'll be with you, where we are going to tackle basics of pre-stressed concrete and the basic design of pre-stressed element as well. We'll be having 1.5 hours for the basic of pre-stress, and then I'll teach you how to design a pre-stressed beam or a slab using a software called AdaptBT. And then you'll have basics of bridge engineering with Dr. Ihtisham, basics of lateral loading. Since you didn't take any course in the college related to the bridge or related to the lateral loading, which are very important for the graduates or for those who are going to get employed. So, fourth day is going to be more into concrete and highway, where you are going to tackle basics of pavement design, um, basics of geometry or geometric design. One of the major aspects if you are going to work as a transportation engineer, that you should know how to design the pavements, whether it's flexible pavement or a rigid pavement according to ASH2, which is the one or the standard that we are using here in Oman. And then basics of geometric design, where you are going to design the vertical and horizontal alignments as well. A recap of concrete mixed design. You have already studied mixed design, but it's good to have a recap of it. And then the last portion of that week, what to be done and what's not to be done in construction site from a practical experience part of it. Okay, and these are going to be the trainers for you. Lastly, we are going to go for project management, since it's a very important part. A lot of graduates now are getting employed in the area of project management as well. So we're going to take basics of project management, basics of time management, and then we'll give you a small lecture on how to use Primavera or MS Project, one of them, which is used for the networking. And then finally, we are going to end up the OGT with the basics of cost management and how to control whatever cost that we are going to have. That's a short explanation of whatever training that you are going to have. And if you can illustrate, we are trying to cover whatever topics have not been covered for you in the college. We try to emphasize, we try to focus on a lot of software. We try to cover areas that are not covered. These areas are covered in other colleges, in other universities, like seismic, wind, loading, and then bridge as well. So you need to have them, so you'll have better opportunities to compete with the others as well. We are going to start with with the today's or this week topic, which is construction in Oman. And we have said in construction in Oman, there are three topics for the week. We are going to go for Oman's standard and regulation and construction drawings, construction stages and enforcement and schedules, and then detailing and basic estimation. So first of all, before going for the estimation, before understanding the drawings, you need to know what are the standards and regulations that are used in Oman. That's the first thing, because most of you are going to work in consultancies or as contractors or as project managers. So you need to know how to read the drawings. Before knowing how to read the drawings, you need to know what are the rules which are available here in Oman, because you might be asked to fix or modify a drawing. Okay, so we'll learn about Oman standards and regulation. What are the basic standards and regulation which are there? Of course, we'll not cover everything. I have tried to cover most of the most important things, and then I'll attach for you or upload for you the whole standards and regulation that can be used, so it will be a reference for you. And then we are going to take the basic types of construction drawings for residential and commercial buildings. After that, or the second day, after we learn the regulation drawings, different types of drawings, we'll go and learn the different stages of construction. We'll learn in details the different types of construction drawings. In specific, we are going to go for structural drawings, understanding what's the meaning of slab layout, beam layout, column layout, and then foundation layout. What's the meaning of a schedule? What do you mean by hidden beam? What do you mean by inverted beam, elevated beam? A lot of a lot of terminology that you need to understand. After you learn about the standards and then the layouts and then the reinforcement, we are going to go for the detailing. And after you understand everything about detailing, we'll go for the basic estimation, because estimation is depending on the detailing, which is depending on the drawing, which is depending upon the regulation which is used. Yeah. So you have not taken anything related to standards and regulation which are used in Oman, and that's one of the basic questions normally asked in the interviews. Okay. So normally we have two references that we are using. This is whatever we call the approved standard contract for building and civil engineering works، واللي يسمى العقد الموحد المباني والأعمال المدنية بشكل عام. Um, this is going to give you what are the rights for you as a contractor, what are the duties, what are the rights for the client, what are the duties, what are the rights for the engineer, what are the duties. So everything related to a person who is working in construction project. You will find it over here. Okay, this is the latest edition, which is in May 2019. It's in Arabic and English. It's one version in both Arabic and English. And then the second part that we are going to tackle, which is construction drawings. And then the last part, which is the building regulation for Muscat area. Okay. Now, other areas are following mostly this regulation, as this is the only regulation that we are using here in Oman. This regulation is in both Arabic and English. Um, and I'll be uploading for you both the English and Arabic versions, because we cannot cover everything in this particular regulation. Okay, so we are going to start our lecture, or today's lecture, with the approved standards for contract for buildings and civil engineering works. Will take around 15 to 20 minutes here, um, and then we'll take around half an hour here, and then around 45 minutes here, and then we'll finish the day. Okay, so approximately we are going to finish our day at 1 o'clock. So starting with the approved standard contract for buildings and civil engineering works. By the way, after each topic, we are going to have a question and answer session for 10 minutes. And after that, we are going to have a break for 5 minutes. And then we'll go for the second topic. So after each topic, after we finish the approved standard for contract and building, for contract buildings and civil engineering works, we're going to have 10 minutes question and answer if you have any question related to that topic, then 5 minutes break, and then we can carry out to the second topic. So first of all, we need to understand what are the parties which are available in the project according to whatever is stated in the regulation. Okay, so the first party is whatever we call it as the owner, and the main duty of the owner is to pay the fees to get his own project. Okay, that's the main duty of the owner. The owner is the one who is paying the amount of money. He is the one to sign the contract to get whatever whatever item he is asking. So if he is asking for a house, he needs to sponsor. He needs to pay for that particular house. Second part or second party is whatever we call it the architect and engineer. Now, in most of the regulations here in Oman, they don't mention the architect and or they don't mention the architect and engineers as consultants. Okay? We don't normally have it as consultants. We have the architect separately, and then we have the engineer separately. And whenever we mention engineer, we mean by the engineer the civil engineer. Okay, so we have architect, and then we have the engineer, which is representing the civil engineer. And then for construction project as well, we have the contractor, which is clearly noted as a contractor. And then we have the subcontractor, which can be for other areas where the contractor is not specialized. For example, let's say that I'm a contractor in construction. Mainly I do the frames, the concreting and everything. But when it comes to anti-termite اللي هو رش او ضد الرمل اللي هو الحشره اللي تاكل الخشب. I'm not that specialized, so I need to bring a subcontractor who is specialized in that area. The same thing for the MEP, which is mechanical, electrical and plumbing. Normally the contractor who is specialized in construction, he will not be specialized in MEP, so he normally brings somebody else to do for him the electrical connection, the plumbing connection, which is drainage, and then the mechanical as well, which is the AC and other things. Okay. Now, at the beginning, we are going to learn what are the duties and what are the rights for each one of them, and this is going to be the first part of the day. That's going to be according to Oman standard for construction of buildings and civil engineering works. So when it comes to here, we have C, which is representing the customer or the client, E which is representing the engineer, C which is representing the contractor area, and then E which is essentials or something or things which are very important that you need to know, which are covered by the standard document. Now, each and every project in Oman is following the standard document, so you need to know everything. Let's assume, for example, that you are a person who wants to build a house, and then you sign the contract with the contractor to do your project without knowing what are the things which are available in the standards. Now, even if you didn't know as a customer, the contractor is liable. The contractor he needs to know whatever is available in the contracts, and he will and in the civil engineering contract, and then he will be responsible for it. So if anything is happening wrong in that particular project and it's not included in that particular contract that you signed by or you signed with the contractor, still the standard documents for construction projects and civil engineering works will have your right for you. Okay? So as a client, what are the things that I have as a right, and what are the duties that I need to do? So the first thing, which is my duty, the duty for me as a client, I need to choose a certain architect and then a certain engineer, or I need to choose a consultancy who will do for me the the design. That's the first duty that I need to do. Okay. For my rights, I need to assign a contractor to act on behalf of me. Actually, this is not a contractor. I need to assign a consultant to act on behalf of me in the site. Most of the clients, most of the customers are not having any experience in construction, which makes it easy for the contractor to play in the project. So normally the law says that I need to appoint something. I need to appoint someone. I need to put somebody in the site, or I need to put somebody who is going to be looking to the site, which is normally a consultant. So instead of contractor here, it's going to be a consultant. So my consultant who has drawn for me the drawings, he will be responsible to go and check whatever has been implemented in the site. Okay, that's my right as a client. One of the main duties as well, you need to finalize all the approvals necessary before the project starts. Now, if you didn't finalize your approval, for example, you didn't finalize the municipality approval, you didn't finalize all the electrical work, all the connections, you cannot expect the other parties to start your project for you. So one of your main duties is to go and finalize all the approvals, because it's not the work of the other parties as well. You're right, according to the law, that you need to get notified of the progress report. So if anything is happening in the project, you need to be told by the contractor or the consultant. Normally, the contractor will be informing the consultant, and then the consultant will go and inform the client. Um, the same thing, even if there is no update, you need to notify him. After each and every period, for example, after finishing the foundation, you need to inform, as a contractor, you need to inform the consultant to come and check, and the consultant is going to inform the client that everything is fine or there is a problem. So one of my right as a client, that I should get notified if there is any update, or whenever a certain portion has been finished. One of my duties as well is to approve if there is any change required. Let's assume that my whole contract was to build one-story house, and then later on I came and changed the plan. Instead of one story, I made it to be two stories. Um, so before deciding, before going for any changes, I need to be approving them, because then I'm going to be the one who is going to be paying for that particular amount. So one of my duties is to approve any changes, to approve any milestone, any important point. If you didn't approve it, it means the contractor cannot start the work. If the contractor didn't start the work means the whole project is going to be delayed later on. Another duty for you, which is the main duty, is to pay for the other parties. Now, for me, normally how it goes, there are three parties, there are three major parties we have, which is the client, and then we have the construction team, which is represented by the contractor and the subcontractor, and then we have the the engineering team, which is represented by the architect and the engineer. Um, in both ways, I'll be paying for the consultant, which is the engineer and the architect, and then the other side I'll be paying for the contractor, and the contractor is going to be paying for the subcontractor. Now, if I didn't pay for any of the parties, then the whole work is going to be stopped. So one of my main duties is to pay for them in the proper time without any delay. Because if I didn't pay, the whole project is going to be delayed. Um, and lastly, one of my major rights, I have signed a contract to receive a certain product, whether it's a building, whether it's a mosque, whatever is the type of the structure or the project that I signed for, I should be getting it as I requested it. So whatever was there in my plans, I should be getting it exactly. I shouldn't be getting something which has been modified by somebody else. If there is any change, I'll be the only one who is going to be approving these particular changes. Okay. So if you work, if you are working, for example, as a project manager who is representing the client, you should know all of these things, because if, for example, if you are not paying in the correct time, delays will be there. If there is a delay, uh, this particular client is not going to use you once again as a project manager. Once again, if you didn't approve any changes in the correct time, everything is going to be delayed later on. So you need to know what are your duties and what are the rights for you. Now going for the engineer, and once again I know that these are very technical, uh, um, very general things, but you need to know them. These are very important to be known for you. Now when it comes to the engineer, you need to understand. Now I'm the owner. I have asked Mr. Mr. Ahmed, for example, to go and represent me in the site. It means that he is going to be looking after the site for me, because I don't have the experience. Since I don't have the experience, the consultant is going to check for me the site itself. Okay. So as a consultant, my right as a consultant, still till now the voice is not appearing. Hello. Okay. Okay. So once again, when it comes to the consultant, um, there are certain things that I need to know. You will be working in a consultant. Some of you are going to work in consultants as a consultants. So you need to know what are the duties and what are the rights for you. So one of the things that I need to do all the duties assigned for me in the contract. So, for example, if a foundation has finished, before going and boring the concrete for the foundation, normally there will be certain steps. So the contractor has finished the steel fixing for the foundation. After that, the consultant normally comes and check. After that, the municipality guy comes and approve. Okay, so one of my duties is go and check whatever has been implemented in the site by the contractor. So that's one of my duties. When it comes to my rights, I don't have any authority to do any changes in the contract. Finally, I'm a representative of the client. I don't own the project, so I don't have any authority to go and change anything in the contract itself. I work for him, but I don't own the project. And once again, when it comes to duties, uh, I'm going to be acting on behalf of the owner on site. So I need to approve all the technical work because we said as well that the owner does not have the technical background. So for me, as a consultant, as an engineer, I need to approve the technical work for the client. For the rights, I don't have any right to relieve any duties of the other parties. So one of the main duties for the contractor, as whatever we have said earlier, that the contractor needs to send progress reports to the consultant, and then the consultant will be sending them to the owner. I cannot say for the contractor, I don't have any right to say for the contractor, no need to give me the progress report of this particular month. I don't have that particular right. Okay? So certain things that you need to know, I'll be having the authority to do, and certain things are not within my hands to be done. Contractors, and once again for the contractor, certain duties, certain rights. So one of my main duties as a contractor, I need to provide all the materials, machines, and labor as per the contract signed. So whatever we have signed, whatever was mentioned in the contract, in terms of materials, in terms of machinery, in terms of labor, or in terms of human capital, then it should be available in the site. That's one of my duties. My duty is to provide them for the site. When it comes to my right, I need to receive all the necessary documents and drawings before to properly estimate the project needs. So you cannot ask me to give you what are the required materials, what are the required machinery, what are the required labors, or number of labors, if you didn't give me the drawings. So the first thing that you need to give the contractor as a client, you need to give him all the documents, you need to give him all the drawings, so he can do a proper estimation of whatever the the required things for the project. So that's the first thing that you need to ask if you are working as a contractor. That's the first thing that you need to ask the client for before you start your project. You shouldn't go and sign the contract without seeing all the drawings first, because if you sign the contract, you will not know what are the proper requirements of that particular project, and finally, you might be ending up paying from your own pocket because you didn't have the drawings and the quantities before. Duties, one of your duties as well, you will be responsible about the safety, stability of the construction site. That's going to be the duty of the contractor. If any, for example, injuries, if any death cases has happened in the construction site, it will be the responsibility of the contractor. So one of my duties is to make sure that the site is safe, so that the visitors or the consultant or the owner can come and visit the site without any issues. One of my rights that I need to receive all the payments as agreed on the contract. So I have signed the contract for you that I need to deliver this particular step for this particular amount. If I have done my work, you should give me whatever has been specified in the contract itself. Last thing, you need to provide a clear mechanism of work description to the engineer if required. So let's say that, for example, you are using a new method of construction. Let's say that you are using pre-stressed concrete. For example, as a contractor, you decided to use, or in the drawings, it has been mentioned that pre-stressed concrete is going to be used, and um, this technology, pre-stressed concrete, is not that known in the sites. So you need to provide a clear mechanism. You need to show the consultant what is the exact way or methodology that you are going to do this particular task. Okay, so that's only if the engineer is requiring. So if If the engineer has asked you to provide him what's a method of doing certain thing, you need to provide him whatever he has asked for. And then finally, you need to get all the required utilities to complete the work. So whatever is required in terms of work, I mean water, electricity, accommodation, it needs to be provided by the client. If these are not provided for you, it means that the whole work is going to be delayed. If the work has been delayed because that you didn't get the required utilities, then you will not be responsible about these delays. You will be learning later on in the next slide what, what do we mean by justifiable delays and unjustifiable delays. When to give the contractor the responsibility for the delays, and when to take the responsibility as a client itself. Okay. Last thing is going to be essentials, and once again, I told you like this part is going to be a little bit general. Anyhow, these are very important things that you need to know. We are going to start being technical from this particular slide, uh, where we are going to tackle first something called contingencies. Now, most of you have studied contingencies, and contingencies are the extra amount of money which is kept for emergency purposes. Okay, so let's say, for example, that I have estimated the project work to be 40,000 Omani Riyal. I cannot ask as a contractor. I cannot ask the owner to keep only 40,000. I need to ask him to keep certain extra amount, and that's normally around 5%. So 5% of the total value is kept as contingencies. What is the main function of the contingencies? If anything goes wrong, whether it's going to be from the subcontractor side or the contractor side, I can use this particular amount of money to solve the issue. Okay? So let's say, for example, let's say that the contractor didn't pay the subcontractor his amount of money. So the subcontractor will stop the work, and the final affected person is going to be the client. Now, how to solve that issue? Because the client has given all the money to the contractor, but the contractor didn't give the money to the subcontractor. Now, I don't want my work to stop as a client. So what I can do, I can use the amount of contingencies, which is emergency. I can use them to pay the subcontractor, and in the upcoming payment, I'll deduct that amount of money from the contractor payment. Okay. So, for example, let's say that 200 riyals are to be given to the subcontractor. The contractor didn't give the subcontractor that amount of money. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take 200 riyals from the contingencies. I'm going to give them to the subcontractor so he can complete his work. And then later on, in the next payment, I'll remove 200 riyals from the payment of the contractor. Okay, that's whatever we call it as labor bond. And in labor bond, we are using contingencies mainly. And then we have other types of bonds. البوند بالعربي هي ضمانات. These are financial guarantees. So I keep certain amount of money to protect me from something. This is the main idea of bonds. Okay, and we have different types of bonds. The major ones are advance payment bond, and then we have performance bond, and then we have as well labor bond. We have mentioned it earlier. Now, the first thing, when it comes to work, let's say that I'm a contractor, and you have asked me to start working for your project. Now, when I come to start your project, I need to provide a lot of things. I need to provide materials. I need to provide machinery. I need to provide utilities. Some of the utilities I need to provide as well. I need, for example, to provide food for my laborers. Now, all of that things, I didn't receive any amount yet. It means that why would I work for you as a client? Why would I work for you and I didn't still receive anything from you? Now, to stop this argument, what is normally happening? Normally is happening that the contractor is paying something called an advance payment. Okay, so the client is paying a certain amount called the advance payment to the contractor. So the contractor can start the work, bringing materials, bringing machinery, and whatever is required. Now, let's say that I have given you 10,000 Oman Riyal, okay, as an advance payment, and the total contract value was 100,000. So I asked you to build for me my house for 100,000 Oman Riyal, and I have given you 10,000 Omani Riyal as an advance payment. So you can bring your materials, you can bring your machinery, you can bring whatever required labor. Now I cannot I cannot keep this particular 10,000 till the end, because he will not be he will not be returning it back to me. Okay, I cannot wait till the end of the project to ask him to return this advance payment for me. He will not return it back because he has finished almost everything in the project. So what normally we are doing, we are subtracting, we are removing certain amount of each payment. So let's say that I need to pay him 10,000 each and every month. So 10,000 in the first month, 10,000 second month, 10,000 third month, and it goes on. Normally what we try to do, we try to remove certain amount of each and every month. So instead of giving him 10,000 for the first month or the second month, I need to remove, for example, 1 or 2,000. So I'll return back my advance payment. This advance payment is not part of the contract. This advance payment I have given him only so he can start his work. Okay, so I need to return it back to me. Okay, that's the meaning of advance payment. And then we have something called performance bond. And once again, um, that's whatever we call it as retention. You have heard of something called retention. Retention is certain amount of money that we are keeping for two purposes. Purpose number one, that I should, as a client, I should be receiving the building or the structure as I asked the contractor to do it for me. Okay. So I have given you certain drawings to do the project for me, for let's say for the value of 100,000 Oman Riyal. If I have already given you the full 100,000 Oman Riyal, at the end of the project, if I was not satisfied with your work, you will not be doing anything for me because you have already received all your payment. So to avoid that scenario, to avoid the situation where the client is running after the contractor to do the works for him, normally what we are trying to do, we will take certain amount of money, we'll keep in the pocket of the client. So the client, what he needs to do, he needs to keep 5% of the total contract value. Now, if the project finished and I was satisfied with this particular project, everything was as per the drawing and everything in the contract, then I return back 2.5% to the contractor. Okay. If I was not satisfied, the contractor is forced to do for me the project, whatever modification, whatever changes are there, because I still have his money. I didn't give him the full money. Okay. So one of the biggest mistakes which are happening in most of the construction here in Oman, most of the people they don't know that we do have something called retention and performance bond, where we are keeping certain amount of money. Will not give the full amount of money to the contractor, will keep certain amount of money. If I was satisfied the building was without cracks, was well done according to whatever is mentioned in the contract, I'll be giving him 2.5%. Now there is another 2.5%. That 2.5% will not be given for him directly. So after I was satisfied with the project, I'll be taking my project from him. I'll be using that particular building. Now, according to the Omani law or according to Oman standards and regulation, I have 356 days of whatever we call it our warranty or guarantee. Okay, so I have the right as a client to have a maintenance period for 1 year. Okay, so whatever problem happens in any building for 1 year, the contractor is forced to do it for me. Now, if I have already given him the total amount of money, I'll not see him after that particular day. So what we need to do, once again, I have taken from him 5%. If he has done everything correctly according to the contract, he will be getting 2.5% when I receive my home. The other 2.5% will be given to him if the 1 year of maintenance has finished without any problem. If anything has happened in terms of maintenance period and he didn't show up, I can use that particular amount of money to do the maintenance for my particular building. So bonds are protections for the client side. So once again, bond are certain amount of money which are kept for protection of the client from the contractor. And then we have certain things called justified claims, and we have just unjustified claims. Okay, and then we have justified delay, and then we have unjustified delay. Now, claim, the meaning of claim is to request something. Let's say, for example, um, my initial plan was to have one-story building, and then I have asked the contractor, after I have modified the drawings and everything, I have asked him to add one room for me. Okay, so previously it was one floor, and then we have added one room. Uh, Now the contractor should claim that amount of money. Okay, the contractor should claim that amount of money. Why? Because as a client, I have requested him to add something in the project, to change something in the project. So justified claims, the contractor can ask for this claim, can ask for a certain amount of money extra if I have asked him to change something. Unjustified claims, if he has done something wrongly in the site, I'll not be the one responsible as a client. He will be the one responsible. So I'll not be paying him extra amount of money. So once again, when it comes to justified claim and unjustified claim, it comes to decide who is the responsible body. If the responsible of the change is the client, then I need to give him, as a client, I need to give the contractor that certain amount of money. If not, if he is the responsible person, then I'll not be paying him anything. The same thing for justified delay and just unjustified delay. Let's say now, because of coronavirus, because of let's say a cyclone has happened in Muscat, the whole work has stopped. Will I give him an extension? He should be delivering for me the project, for example, in, let's say, the 1st of September. Now, because of coronavirus, because of the stop which has been issued by the Supreme Committee, everything has stopped. He cannot work. Now, is it because of the contractor? Is it his issue, or it's outside of his scope? Now, if it's outside of his scope, I should be justifying. I mean, I should be able to give him extra amount of duration. So instead of the 1st of September, you need to tell him, okay, because of the things which are happening, I can give you an extension of 1 month. Okay, so justified delays are these amount of time given extra to the contractor if an issue is happening and it's outside of the scope of the contractor. Unjustified delay, let's say the delay has happened because the contractor didn't bring full labors in the site. Now, it's not my problem as a client that the contractor didn't bring his full labors in the site. So for me as a client, I don't give him extra extension. And normally, one of the missing things that you need to know, normally according to the Omani laws, there is something called penalty. Okay, and this penalty is related to if the contractor didn't finish the project in the specified date, then he need to pay extra amount of money for the contractor, for the client. Okay, so once again, let's say that we have said that the 1st of September needs, this particular project needs to finish. Now, if the project didn't finish in that particular time, and it was not because of me as a client, I didn't ask for any changes, nothing has happened outside of the scope of the contractor, and he didn't finish in that particular day, then he needs to pay certain amount of money. We call it as penalties, but it should be mentioned in the contract as well. So one of the major things that you need to understand, that you need to make sure that the contract does not have any holes. Okay, the contract is solid and clear. Uh, the last thing which comes to closing, the last thing which comes to closing. Now, before closing any project, you should know that certain things are there which we need to concentrate at. First thing, I should be satisfied from the side of the client. I should be satisfied with all the works. If I was not satisfied, I should not be closing the project. I should not be approving the project. If I approve the project, it means I cannot ask for anything later on, unless you are talking about the maintenance period, which is 1 year. Now, when it comes to the closing from the side of the contractor, uh, closing to the contractor means that he received all the money which is required for him. If he didn't receive all of his payment, it means that the project is not yet closed. So we cannot say that the project is closed when I receive my building. No, normally projects will be closed after the maintenance period, after 1 year of the after 1 year of receiving of that particular building. Okay. If there is no issue, if there is an issue, still things will go. Now, once again, we said contractor will be responsible for 1 year of maintenance. The consultant is going to be responsible about 10 years of warranty of the structure. Okay, so if anything is happening within the structure, there is a structural fault or there is a structural problem. Not we are not talking about small cracks, but structural problems happening in your buildings. Then you can claim or you can go to the court and claim against the consultant. You have 10 years of warranty according to the Omani law of construction. Now, by by finishing that point, we have finished the first part of the session. I know it was too much talk, but the following portions will be more interesting for you.